We're live, ladies and gentlemen, and a good Monday night. Dave Burman on Delco Sports 360.com, right here on cmpradio.net. Another show after a week off because of the July 4th weekend, Independence Day. Got special guest in the house, Brian Warren in the middle to my right. Brian, of course, is director of Philly Pride Hoops. Also, Dom Amoroso, all the way to the right areas with the Detroit Tiger hat.
Yes.
All right, Tigers, 1984 World Series champs. Brian is director of Philly Pride. Brian, of course, is 17U basketball assistant coach working with Philly Pride Hoops. First of all, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on to the show. And we want to talk about Brian real quick here. I know you pumped it up on your Facebook page. 2022, 30 great athletes, youngsters 8 to 18 years old from Chester participating in an AAU track and field club national event down in Orlando, Florida. Started yesterday. LaFennis Terry providing some updates. The kids are doing very well. So sports in Chester is going very, very well with all kinds of great stuff, including this track and field.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Philly Pride Delco, that's the name of our program. I am the director of it, and I'm sitting here with Dom, who's one of our assistant coaches for our 17U. We are a Delco-based program, AAU program for basketball. We started out this year, and we're just looking to help some kids and help some young men in the Delco area get off to college and play in the summertime, in the springtime, and have some fun.
All right, Dom, we're going to talk to you. I'm going to ask you a question. Tell us your story. You're a youngster, but you've been around basketball, it seems like forever. Tell us where you're from, little family situation. I know you're still single. There's an eligible bachelor over there, and you're still going to school, so do some talking for me.
Thank you for advertising that I'm still single, Dave.
That's okay.
All the beautiful college women that follow you on your social media platforms, they now know who I am. So
and you go to Westchester, right?
I do. I'm going into my senior year at Westchester University, where I am a history major, and I'm also looking to stay at Westchester University for graduate school. My basketball story is, as you and Brian both know, pretty unique. I don't necessarily have the playing background that a lot of these guys out here do. I was a student assistant at Westchester Ruston High School for Keith Cochran, who was, the school's first head coach. From there, I was a manager at LaSalle University for Dr. John Giannini for a year. And then after that, I bounced around in the city for a year at Overbrook High School, was an assistant for the first team there that went to the state playoffs. And then I was also with the Philly Hurricanes the year that they were on the Adidas Silver Gauntlet. And then I came back out here to Delaware County, where I was an assistant for 2 years at Chichester High School with Clyde Jones.
Clyde the Glide Jones, as I like to call him.
Absolutely.
We go back 20 years, long story, his visits up to my old radio stomping grounds in Mifflin County when he was with Harriton. But anyway, with Clyde and the great Steve Jones.
Steve Lewis.
Steve Lewis, yes. Who, former Strathaven head coach.
Yes.
So, Dom, you've been in the city, you've been in the suburbs, and a little bit later on during the show, I'm going to ask you how things are going this summer team-wise with the squads you have checked out. Brian, tell me, 1990 grad, St. James High School here in Chester. St. James eventually closed the summer of 1993. Rich history, as you very well know. And your story, baseball was your big-time sport.
Yeah, I grew up in the city, from the city, born and raised. Played all three sports, played basketball, baseball, and football. Played baseball at Chester Youth since I was 6 years old, played basketball at Chester Biddy, and played football at Parkside all the way up to high school. So I know a lot of people from the city, from my sports, and just being around there. Chester Youth was my haven. Like I was up there on top of the hill.
So was I.
Baseball.
You know, I was too.
Okay.
1968-69, play with Chris Leggett, Lamar Campbell's father, against Ketty Harris, against Joe Kane and others, and we won the championship 1969. Howard Webb was our manager of Triangle Engineering.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Crazy.
69. But anyway, yeah, Bobby was a star player on our team. But yeah, at the top of the hill now, there's a housing up there.
It is. I was up there since I was 4'2", like I mean, or 4'10", whatever. But I was up there for so long, and I just made a home. And baseball was my sport. I loved it. Went to high school at St. James. Really fell in love with football. Really fell in love with baseball. Played under John Mooney. My 11th grade year, I was all Delco, was all state, had the St. Louis Cardinals, had the New York Mets, had the Houston Astros all come see me play, had a tryout with the Chicago White Sox in my senior year, played Carpenter Cup. So I just was loving baseball, and football was secondary. Basketball wasn't even, I just played it just to have fun. At St. James, we weren't that competitive. Got beat by Roman by 60, so played against Marvin Harrison, Bernard Jones, played against all of them. But it was just for fun, just for fun.
Yeah, among others. We could go on and on and on. And you have two sons. One was a member of 4 consecutive state championship teams, PIAA, Newman Goretti, right?
Correct. That was my son Noah.
That was Noah.
Noah played at Newman Goretti all 4 years. Won 4 state chips. Went to the Catholic League championship 3 times. Lost all 3. Started his junior year with Quade and with Damir and all of them, and played against Wood and lost to Wood in the Palestra in front of 10,000 people. My other son, Isaiah, was at Archbishop Carroll and played there and played underneath Paul Romanachek, who's at Malvern right now.
Yes, he is.
Started as a junior, and then some things happened financially, and we had to come back home. So we came back home to Chester right there with 2013, and that was a great team right there that lost in the chip to
the pride of Chester,
to
Jaquan Johnson.
Jaquan Johnson, correct.
There you go. Have to throw that.
One of their friends. So yes.
And we got some people checking in here, and you guys have better eyesight than me. I see Isaiah Freeman checking in, and he just graduated from Chester High, and he's heading into his freshman year at Lincoln University in Chester County. Kenneth Covert, my man.
Ken, hey, what's up, Ken?
He's everywhere.
What's up,
that's all I'll say. I wish I could do what he does. LaFennis Terry, there you go. Thank you, LaFennis. Jean LeBron. And thank you, John, for everything. Love the podcast, Burman. And LaFennis Terry, the Delco football prediction panel champ. Right, there you go. You won that thing last year. I ended up in last place.
Yeah, that was crazy. I'm normally not a good predictor, and I just so happened to be hitting the right buttons last year, and Hey, you got to be first. Someone always told me they want to be first. You got to be first. What's up, D. Spence? That's my man right there. I talk about Chester High basketball to death.
I work out with his uncle, Ricky Van Spence, at LA Fitness, and he's my age, and he looks unbelievable. They look at those guns. So,
the guy said how I was playing against Marvin Harrison. Well, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Marvin in football returned a kick every year that we played against him. Like in football, like he returned either a punt or a kickoff. In basketball, he was, what's up, Jamal? In basketball, he can jump out the gym. Probably should have played at Syracuse, was that high of an athlete, was really, really, really just athletic and cat quick. I remember playing up at the gym and they pressed. And he was at the front of the press, and it was incredible. So,
his son's at Ohio State now.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doing great things out there. All right, yeah. Thank you for the compliments. Any other questions? Fire away on the thread there. Want to thank our great sponsors once again: CMPRadio.net, including Pressure Inc., KC Electric, and the great Kyle Davis, CAT Center at CAAT Center, and Northern Marketing. Thank you very much. And Jean-Pierre is our engineer here tonight. Shout to John JP, right, Brian? Because it's 5 years they've had CMP Radio.
Yeah, I can't say enough about this dude. I've done, we've done partnerships. We've collaborated. We spoke personally. Like, he's a really good dude, and I love what he's doing for the city. I love what he's doing. And we was actually, he was talking to me. We was doing some things before I started Philly Pride Delco. We were supposed to collaborate on some things, but things just didn't work out that way. But I have so much respect, even working with his daughter, who's at Lincoln University, and the things he's done. So just much respect out to CMP.
Jamo Atkins,
Yes.
you're amazing. You guys are cousins, right?
Nah. Me and Jamal are best friends.
I
met
thought you
Jamal-
guys were related
Nah.
because you resemble each other.
You think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's the first I heard that. But
Yeah,
nah,
no doubt,
me and
man.
Jamal go.
There he is. And so his son, state champ at least once for St. Joe's Prep football.
I want to say 3 times. I want to say 3 times football.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And
He's at East Stroudsburg right now. And that's
Great.
actually my godson.
oh, I know the Terwigler up there, and he's the assistant coach. Terwigler, met him at the Harrisburg football game last year. So East Stroudsburg, good stuff there. And Jamo, St. James, what year did he graduate?
He graduated the same year I did. We were in the same class.
1990.
So I'll tell you a story about me and Jamo. Jamo was our fullback or running back at the time.
Who's the
I was-
quarterback?
I was the wing, and Stan Bystrick was the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just transferred to a new offense called the Wing T. And it was the first time we was playing it. And we were playing Archbishop Carroll, and I was supposed to go down and block the inside linebacker on this one play. And I missed the block, and the linebacker filled the hole and hit Jamo and separated his shoulder, and he didn't play another down of football because of me.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah.
Unbelievable. And he said, Jimmy T?
Jimmy T is now the head coach of ESU.
Oh, yeah, younger Jimmy T. Yeah, I got a picture with father at an event I did out in Harrisburg, high school football game.
Single.
All right, so unbelievable. So 1990, you played. Now, I wonder if Coach Clancy, I think he probably was the coach of Archbishop Carroll then, Kevin, before going to Strathaven. So he's big into the Wing T also. Yeah. And we can go on and on about them. All right, so Brian, now we're going to get into Philly Pride hoops and mention your team. You and Dom want to go back and forth. All you.
Well, we started Philly Pride Delco this year. I've been around AAU programs since Youth Interlock, Jameer Nelson, and I just thought that in Delco, we didn't have some of the kids that wasn't on a national level a chance to play and be competitive be competitive in the field of AAU. So we started talking. Actually, the idea came from my son Noah and Isaiah. Noah was dealing with some health issues and can't really play anymore. but he wanted to be around it. So we thought about just starting a program and starting some teams. And it first started out with us just starting like a 7th grade and an 8th grade team and possibly a 9th grade team just so we can do it. And things didn't work out as planned. And we had some kids at Chichester that needed a home. And we had some kids at Chester that needed a home. And we had some kids that was in Delco that needed a home. And I spoke with, it's funny because when I first started it, I called Dom up and I'm like, Dom, I'm starting this program and I need you to be a part of it. And he's like, Brian, I'm busy. I'm doing some stuff. Like I'm in school. So I'm like, okay. And this was probably like a month goes past or maybe 3 weeks. And I called Clyde up and I said, Clyde, there's some of your kids that come up to our rec center and they want to have a 17U. I said, I don't have a problem with it, but we can start underneath a Philly Pride Delco and we can do it. Clyde Jones was right there. When I say right there, he was right there. Brian, whatever the kids want, whatever the kids need, I'm there. I'll coach. I'll put a team together. He called his friend Khan, Coach Khan from Interboro, who I love dearly, who I met when we went through Rondé Hollis Jefferson and the Hollis Jefferson family and Raleigh and them. So I knew Khan from there. So the next person on the staff, he called me and said, oh, I'm bringing Dom on. And I'm like, Dom? I'm like, the same Dom that I called and shrugged me off? And he's like, yeah, I brought him on. So Dom bring a part of it, and I just couldn't ask for a better staff for our 17U. Our 16U was coached by Coach Darrell Moore, who is assistant coach at Chester High School, and he was just dedicated and wanted to be a part of it.
I tell you, he was an unbelievable basketball player for Strathaven back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Darrell with the late great Steve Payne. Yep. If you remember those guys, yeah.
And so we have him, and we had my son Noah was also coaching, and my son Isaiah was coaching. And then we had our 15U by Lanier Warren, which is a cousin of mine who, I don't know if you remember, Russell Warren, who coached girls at Chester High School, his son. So he brought a staff, and he brought a staff of Conrad Chambers and Anthony Butler. So they are working with our 15s. But Dom, I can't say enough about him and what he's doing because, and he'll tell you about our 17s. He does the grunt work and the college work and putting everything together. And he can tell you some more because he's been definitely a pleasure to have. And before he talks about it, I'll just say, like, we have kids on our team that maybe 4'11", 4'10", all the way up to 6 foot.
And a mixture of
Delco.
There you go.
Or outside of Delco. We're just open to kids that want to be a part of it and maybe not getting a chance at the national level, but very competitive. And I'll let Dom talk about that.
Yeah, so we have a really, really solid, first off, a really solid group of character kids throughout the organization, 15 through 17U. And I would say between all three teams, there's a good amount of guys that on our 17s that I think will play at the next level. And with our 15s and 16s, we'll develop into being in position to play at the next level. So the one thing that I think separates our organization from the rest, and don't get me wrong, we have a ton of great grassroots organizations in our area. And I'm excluding the national teams. Everybody knows about them. But there's also a lot of great, mom and pop organizations around Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, and Bucks counties. With our organization, what I think separates us is, not only the quality of coaching. Not every AAU organization can say that they have a director like Brian, who has been, great from the start and is a seasoned veteran in the game. Not every AAU organization can say they have a state championship winning head coach like a Clyde Jones. So I think our kids are really fortunate to be around, the adults that they are around. Our 17s, as Brian mentioned, we kind of put it together on a whim in a good way. The 4 core Chichester guys went to Brian, asking for a team, so we put it together. So, that 4 is Mazen Syed, point guard, Vince Wildrick, who's a right now at the high school level, stretch 4,
Yep.
but we'll be a 3, possibly 4 in college, and then the Keys twins, Zion and Akir. They were the core 4 that started it, but then we got some pieces that came along and really helped us out along the way. Breland White, 5'10" point guard from Chester. We had 3 kids from MCS, 2 got hurt and weren't able to finish the summer. And then we ended up also getting a 6'7" forward in Malachi Wright from Tri-State Prep in Delaware. Tri-State Prep.
That's a high school?
Yes. Yeah, prep school. And
I know some teams in Delaware County that could use a 6'7", 6'8" kid.
I mean, couldn't. I'm sure.
Anyone can.
I'm
use
sure
it at that
everybody
level.
could.
Yes.
It just sounds like a basketball name there. So these kids know eventually they're going to be playing against each other during the regular season.
Absolutely.
What's funny about that is I talked to some of the parents, and being a director of it, I wanted to always be involved with each level of whether it's the 17s, the 15s, or the 16s. I wanted to be there. But it's funny because he spoke about Breland White. Breland White, mastery on the court and helping out the kids and getting them to their spots and giving them the ball where they're supposed to be and where they have it. And some of Chichester and Chester are rivals. So he's a Chester kid and got Chichester, but now the parents that said Chi is like, I'm pulling for Breland against everybody but us. I want them to win. And that's the beauty of it. They're forming relationships. And everyone's having fun. I mean, we started this program with the fact that a lot of these kids, and that's the one thing I try to pride myself on or say, like without Dom, without Clyde, without Khan, those 4 kids at Chi wasn't going to play in the summertime. They weren't going to go down to Virginia and play. They weren't going to the AAU, the live periods. We just played a game against a team yesterday, our 17s, and it was 6 D1 coaches right there at our game. Virginia Tech, I say right off the top, was there.
Mike Rose from VCU.
Mike Rose from VCU.
The pride of Mahanoy City. He's a coal region boy.
Yes.
Right.
I know Mike. Yep.
So coming to Philly Pride Delco and playing for Philly Pride Delco, you're going to get the looks. You're going to get in front of the college coaches to show your talents. And that's the beauty of it, because a lot of these kids, if they feel as though if they're not on a national team, they're not going to get these looks and not going to get this place to play.
Where do you guys play your games? What's the schedules look like?
So obviously with the way the AAU schedule works, there's your live period events in April and July, and your dead period events in May and early June. So for the 17th this year, we played our first tournament due to a scheduling conflict. We played our first tournament at Westchester University, which we won. And then after that, we played at Big Shots Philly Pride up in Oaks. In our 17s, we got to the Final Four. The 16s, I believe, broke even on that.
Yeah, they broke even
But
on
the
that.
15s had a good showing as well.
15s
I
have a
believe.
good showing, yeah.
And these are teams from all over the Mid-Atlantic region?
Correct.
So what we try to do is we work with, we are affiliate of Philly Pride, which is a national organization run by Kamal Yard. And so we put together a schedule that is going to work and get these kids at the high school level. We want to get these kids in front of college coaches. So in the summertime, in the spring and summertime, you have 5 live periods,
Yes.
2 in April, and then 3 in July. So we definitely want to get them in front of those live periods. Now, where are those live periods at? They may be in Atlantic City. They may be in Spokane.
Right.
They may be
Boo
Williams down in Virginia. So we want to go where those tournaments are. So we have to, our program, which is not a funded program, so we have to get sponsors, or we have to, oh my God, I can't, I'm coming.
Sell.
So you have to sell, yes. We have to do raffles, we have to sell, but those are the things.
I'm sorry, a better word, because I was in radio many, many years, and I did some marketing. You have to market.
Yes,
That's the word.
Yes. So we have to market our program, and we work with our parents to get all these kids in the right places and to the right things. But so we just started out this year, and we practice at the rec center out at Chichester, which is very local for a lot of the people. And we just looking to grow our program, but do our program right and do it right by the kids. And we don't care if we have one team, two teams, or three teams, but we just want to, give that opportunity to the kids that don't get the opportunity.
So if somebody out there is a kid, what age group are you starting at? What age, and how can they get involved with your program?
So go ahead.
Oh no, you go. I think you were about to say something.
So we started out with the idea that we're going to go from 7th grade, 8th grade, and on up. Like I said, that didn't materialize, so we just did 9th, 10th, and 11th. We will have an 11th grade team next year, and we will have a 10th grade team next year because that's the two that we had that's mainstay. If we have to go back down to the 7th grade team, we don't care. If we have to go back up to our 8th grade team, we don't care. We just want to field teams that need a home, players that need a home. Okay. And we're looking for coaches, we're looking for players, we're looking for volunteers, we're looking for anybody that really want to help out these kids get looks and play at a competitive level. How can you get in touch with us?
Yeah, so you can get in touch with either Brian, myself, or any of our coaches, really. Not to brag about myself for a sec, Brian, but I believe I'm the most accessible social media wise.
Yes.
I'm on it too much.
Yes.
So,
give out everything.
So my Facebook, Dave always tags me and stuff. You can find it on Dave's page.
I try without overloading you. I don't want to do that.
There's no such thing as overloading. I mean, worst comes to
worst. I got a story.
I can just scroll over it with all the other Facebook notifications I get.
And there's email.
There is email, even though that's.
I got a story about Brian Warren. I hope he remembers this about email.
No, I don't remember.
You were on my email list. This is unbelievable. It must have been 15 years ago, Brian. And I was up on the radio in Lewistown, Mifflin County, PA. So I emailed, I think it might have been 1 or 2 in the morning. I sent an email out, and then it dinged on your phone or something like that. It said, "Oh, Burman, make sure you don't email so late. I can hear that ding." It was like, it was unbelievable. I'll never forget that, Brian.
Okay.
So I handled it pretty good. But anyway, so email and phone and.
Yeah. Also, I'm on Twitter. That's also how a lot of college coaches have gained access to our kids prior to the live periods. I'm at Coach Adam Amoroso, so I can be reached on there as well.
And you guys are labeled. Jean-Pierre says Dom. It's D-O-M Amoroso. Still single. There you go. Brian Warren, the guy with the muscles. I love it. And Dave Burman, sports historian, and we'll just keep it at that. There you go. All right, now can I talk about some teams?
Sure.
Because these kids are working individually. AAU, they take pride in their hometown AAU team, which is like an all-star team, pretty much, sort of. I mean, sort
in
of.
some ways.
All right. So now, who would be Dom? Would you be better because you've seen more teams this year, and there's been a lot of basketball.
There has been.
A lot of events. Sun Valley, didn't they have? Chichester had a league. Philly Live was unbelievable. So let's talk Delaware County boys basketball teams. And we're going to start off with, of course, number 1, 8 state champs, 18 trips to the state finals, the Chester High Clippers. How they looking?
So I actually haven't seen, just to be honest, I haven't seen Chester as much as I would have liked to. This offseason.
I'm sure you have scouts out there.
Yeah, no,
There's so much talent.
I have other eyes and ears out there. Obviously, Jerkins has gone off to McGrady, but they still have a good amount of pieces over there. As we touched on earlier, Breland White going into his senior year, point guard at about 5'10", makes guys better. He's a paint touch machine. When he gets in the lane, special things happen. The biggest stock riser over there on 9th Street right now is definitely Kevin Rucker, who has picked up 3 Division I offers so far from Ryder, Drexel, and I believe he just picked up Morgan State. Siena. Oh,
I heard Siena.
Okay.
But
and many more to come.
He's a show.
Absolutely.
He's a show. You need to see him.
Yeah.
He's a show.
Followed him forever. Now, what about Breland? Who's checking him out?
So Breland right now has some semi-local Division IIIs on, depending on how far you consider local. Alvernia has been in touch with me about him.
That's our guy Mike Miller.
Yes.
Who coached Danielle in high school at Reading, and we could go on about Mike. He's awesome. So Alvernia, great program.
Alvernia, York College.
My alma mater.
Yeah, you went to York?
Oh yeah, 1980
I
grad.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I was more of a announcer. I was their first public address announcer actually in sports back in the day. So York College doing.
Immaculata as well. I've been in touch with Immaculata.
There you go. They're Division III. York Division III. Very, very, very strong though. And then Chester has a lot of guys that Jerry Young played well in the postseason. 6'4" football guy. Chester football's looking pretty good too. You see all the guys, Peach Howard, all these guys checking in. LaFennis Terry commented something. Kenneth Covert says, great job. I love the comments, but I can't see exactly what he says. But LaFennis is very active also. But Chester football right around the corner. But the basketball team is going to be right there again, Del Val. The question is this year, will Chichester boys basketball break a long, long drought? They've lost 70 straight games to Chester going back to 1987. Boys basketball. It includes a couple playoff games. The last time Chichester beat Chester in boys basketball, Clarence Armstrong was a star player.
Referee, yep.
Shout out to Clarence. Clarence is an unbelievable person.
Referee.
Started me out refereeing. Right now, referees on the Big East and ACC and TBT, and he's probably there's nowhere you can go in the basketball and not talk about Clarence and have somebody speak very highly of him.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Chester Child will play twice this year. Chester's going up to 6A, by the way.
They are.
Yeah, the football's staying at 5A.
Yes.
So, and Keith Taylor back, great staff. And before we get done with Chester, we're going to talk about Brian, because you were assistant coach under Chester. Was some of the greatest guys of all time. You won at least, as an assistant coach, 2 state championships?
I was there for one. Larry Yarbrough blessed me and asked me to come on board right after Fred Pickett had retired.
That was in 2008. Yep.
That was in 2008. When I came on board, it was funny because I was a St. James guy and people didn't know me, so I was coming on board as, I'm going to do everything to prove that I belong because Chester has the history. But Larry gave me the opportunity and I loved it. The people that I met, Ketty Harris, Randy Leggett, Terry Thomas, John Carter, Derek Spence, the list can go on. Keith Taylor and his son Keon and my son Noah went to nursery school together, and so Keith Taylor's a family friend of ours. They were all there and all welcomed me. And Chester program, give it out to the Parents Club with Megan Scrow and all the things they were doing. It was such a top-notch program for us in that year. It was unbelievable.
How many years were you there?
I was there for 4 and helped out the last year. I was there for 3 and helped out the last year, the 4th. But I only reason why I left because I wanted to see my son play.
Right.
And I wanted to see my son. You don't get many chances to do that. So I was a JV head coach. Only lost 1 game, and that was to Penwood my first year. So I went 2 years undefeated. But that was just because of the players that we had during that time. I had for my JV team was unbelievable. Darius Robinson, Ralph Dorsey, goodness gracious, so many names. Rich Granberry.
Right.
I can tell you a story about Rich Granberry.
Because Chester, obviously, state champs 2011.
Correct.
2012, the undefeated team. 2013, state runner-ups. 2014, again, they lost all these guys, and they came back and went to the state semifinals again, 2014.
Correct. And our first year, we had Raleigh, and Raleigh was such a leader that year. And we only lost because of some technicals, and one of our kids lost his head and everything like that.
That was 2008, 2009. Yeah. Is that the game up in Mart's Hall against, I was there, Williamsport. Was that? Oh, that might have been, okay. That might have been in a district game.
That might have been a district game. But
yes.
The game we lost was one of our kids just lost his head and did something that he shouldn't have did, and we got technicals.
Right. But you still went to the States.
We still went to, still went to
beat Redland in the first game. Redland had a good team that year. I remember very well.
Our second year, we had our center. We always laugh about this. We had a 5'10" center, Ronell Williams, and we were 15-11. We were actually 15-6, and then lost our last 5 games.
Right, at close games, all close games.
All close games. And it was talk around the city that we couldn't do it and we weren't good coaches and, it shouldn't have been. So then our next year, we just caught fire and we only lost one game and went to the state championship game. And
That was a tough game. Those Western PA teams, man, you can't sell those Whippy guys short.
That was a great game and a great team. But I like I said, I had 2 rings because
Yes.
that was an awesome year. Mo Nelson, Bootsy, Monty Church.
Yep. Sophomore Rondé, Granberry.
Tavon. You should have seen it. Larry made a decision at the end of the regular season to only have 10 kids. And those practices were so hard with just those 10 kids. The five that was on the bench against the 5 that started. It was all-out war. I never seen nothing like it. It was so much respect from Kareem Robinson to Tamir.
Eric Wright. Whew.
Eric Wright was a monster. Eric Wright actually brought Rich Granberry in Rich Granberry had never played basketball before his sophomore year. And we were at tryouts, and Eric Wright was his cousin, and Eric Wright brought him in. And I remember after one of the tryouts, Rich Granberry came to me and was like, "Coach, just give me a chance. Just let me get on the team. Just give me a chance." And I'm like, "Dude, you're 6'7". You're not going nowhere. Like, you're good. Like, I'm going to keep you." But Rich had the work ethic, and it's still great. The one thing I love about the Chester basketball, it's still great because all those players and all those kids, I still call my own. They still like my sons. They are just unbelievable. So I just love the opportunity that I had to coach at Chester High. The Old Head Club was incredible.
I interviewed Mark Francis Jr. in one of my shows a couple of weeks ago, and we honored the old heads.
The old heads. You
still got
funny because like you would coach, and you always want to not hear the crowd, but you would coach and you would hear the old heads. Like you would definitely hear them, and they'll tell you everything. They'll tell you everything, like what they want to tell you, when they want to tell you, what you doing wrong.
D 'em up,
like everything. So it's a great shout out to them.
Kerbo's still hanging in there.
Yes.
Marbles champ
Yes.
back in the 1940s. I found some good articles on Kerb. Yeah.
So it was an unbelievable
George Dennis.
experience. I definitely wouldn't trade it for the world. My time was short, but it definitely made a memorable and a significant impact on my coaching. I remember Fred Pickett. I came from kind of like AAU background a little bit, and in AAU people used to jump and scream and be all animated when they coach. And I remember Fred just sitting down at the end of my bench, and he came over and he called me over one time and he sat me down and he said, "Your kids are going to follow you. Calm down when you're coaching. You don't have to be that." And so that really meant something to me because it was like a family. Like he didn't, not that he would feel threatened by a JV, but he wanted to help me be a better coach. And that meant so much to me at that time. So I thank Fred, and God rest his soul, I thank Fred, I thank Randy. Randy was unbelievable. Ketty Harris to this day, are definitely close to me.
He still goes to the games. He's still coaching.
So Ketty Harris
from the sidelines.
Ketty Harris from the sideline. So Ketty Harris would take the seniors out to a restaurant at the end of the season and treat the seniors to a dinner. I mean, and I'm not talking, they wouldn't go to Outback. They would go up Philly to a very nice restaurant and just treat them and just say thank you. The banquets that Chester had, I'll tell you, I had one son to go to Carroll and one son to go to Newman Goretti. And I will put the Chester High professionalism and the Chester High dedication and support up against any of those programs. Chester definitely shows out, definitely comes out, and the program is definitely top.
Small town. The history goes back, as you know, to the 1920s and 30s. It's been around forever. Back to teams. We talked about Chester. Now we'll focus on Chichester.
Yeah, so
they got a lot of guys back.
They do. So Chichester only graduated 2 seniors this year. They have a majority of their roster back, specifically their core, the 4 that, I touched on earlier, Saeed, Wildrick, and the Keys twins, coming off of their first state playoff appearance ever.
Ever.
Just wanted to make sure I was factual on that.
Yeah, you got that.
With you in the house, I don't have to
Oh
worry
yeah,
about
it's they came close a couple times.
So, they've had a good offseason so far. They had a really good showing at Philly Live. And all four of those guys have really made some strides this offseason. They ended their high school seasons on a good note, despite losing to Imhotep, which is, a national program.
Yes.
So watching them in the spring at Sun Valley's league, which had a lot of, good teams in it. And then watching them in, the league that Clyde runs out of the rec center, which also has, a good amount of Delaware County teams in it. I think they're poised for a good year.
They have anybody 6'7", 6'8"?
No, they're a small ball team.
Yeah,
I
thought maybe somebody coming up ninth grade.
So they're in the conversation for 5A. 5A is certainly not going to be easy by any means for anybody. I know Westchester East moves back down. Radnor is still there. They also
they should be Chester 6A now. I was going to say Chester and Radnor. Well, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But Radnor's got to be preseason favorite for 5A.
I would say so. It's hard to make a case against them.
Right.
Jackson Hick, who just gave his verbal commitment to Princeton, and is going to go through the application process.
Nice. You beat me. You beat me. Good stuff. He's a tremendous player.
Absolutely. Charlie Thornton comes back for them as well, so that's another team to keep in mind. But I would say in general, Dave, and no disrespect. I live out in Chester County, so no disrespect to anybody out there. No disrespect to any of the teams in Montco or Bucks County. But I would say collectively, across the board, the talent in Delaware County is as good as it's ever been. And I'm fortunate to say that a good portion of those players are in our organization right now. But I would say, between the Central League, the Del Val, and Sun Valley and the Chessmont, being that lone Delco team in the Chessmont, there's plenty of talent to go around.
How's Academy Park looking? A lot of guys back. He struggled a little bit last year with
So they did struggle. Obviously
it's first year. Todd Rinn,
right,
head coach,
and coming off of a year where they didn't play for an entire year because of the pandemic. I watched them in Sun Valley's league, and the one thing I will say about them is that they took their lumps, but you could see the development night after night with them. And that's what at the high school level, that's what basketball at this time of year is about. It's not about what's on the scoreboard. It's about player development. It's about team development.
Right.
So they've certainly gotten better.
Yeah, I did public address for a few games at Academy Park last year for Todd. It was great. Ralph Dorsey, how can we forget Carlton Gordy, the sharpshooter, had the game-winning shot against Sun Valley this past year.
Yeah, so
and remember his grandfather, one of the greatest, Silk Gordy.
I think I don't watch a lot of high school basketball, but I like the Chi. I like the Chi team.
I do too.
No, not to say that you didn't, but I like the four. The four players are tough. They really are. They can play, and they play well. And they've been playing together. And I like Carlton. Carlton is growing up, but they have what I seen. Ian Thomas.
Yeah, another one. Yeah.
Another one. He's a
Division
football
player. Football recruit.
Yeah, he's a
Chichester.
Yes,
Chichester.
But he's just his ability on the basketball court is definitely just as strong in some ways as it is on the gridiron. He's got really good instincts, really good hands. Yep. He's everything you'd ask for in a role player. Like I remember when I was in high school, being at a football, being a part of the basketball program at a quote unquote football school. With your football players that come in, all you can ask is for them to just buy into their role, play hard, set screens. Ian Thomas gives a lot of optionality for a role player.
Yep.
Penwood, they're going to be tough.
Penwood's another team. They bring back a lot. Makai Schillingsford comes back. Stretch 4, stretch 5. Ant Murray, rising sophomore point guard. And Penwood had a really good run.
Yeah, we had a lot of teams make some runs last year. We'll get to that. So, Matt Lindemann.
So, and I got to be careful saying this with two Chester guys next to me.
I'm actually another Providence guy. There you go. But I'm jack of all trades.
The Del Val is at wide open as it's been, in my opinion, for the first time in a long time. And Chester's not down, and Chester's really good, but Chichester has a lot coming back. I think they're going to be really good. Penwood is going to be really good again.
And one more Del Val, Interboro.
Yeah, so Interborough has two strong pieces in Abu Kamara, who's another standout on the gridiron, and the big fella Gavin Walls. They're a team. They're going to give you their best night in, night out. They took Chichester to the wire at Chichester last year. They beat Penwood at home last year. Their first Del Val win in a long time. So Coach Khan's doing some great things over there as well.
Dom, you're on top of your game, man. I love it. All right. Okay, Steve Maloney and Sun Valley, they lost a couple kids, transferred to AI DuPont. But still, they have some really good players.
They do. They have two pieces that I think college coaches need to have an eye on. One is a rising senior in Chris Garrido, knockdown shooter, really good at coming off of screens. He's certainly somebody that I would definitely give a look to if I had an assistant spot right now and I was looking for shooters. He's somebody that when you're game planning, you have to respect. Noah Griffin, rising junior point guard as well, really tough. And I think, his ceiling is pretty high.
And Todd Harper, great football player.
Well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Todd's coming back. I saw him at the gym a few days ago. So Sun Valley, we'll see how that goes there. Now,
I will say also, they are in the Chessmont American. That's another division that's wide open as well.
I got to ask, how's my man Mustardi? Vince is in his second year at Ruston. How are they going to be looking this year with Sam Sproul?
They have the pieces, but I know Westchester kids. So I think they'll be one of the better teams in 5A for District 1.
Bobby Frater is going to be one of his assistant coaches. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will say this is probably the first time in a long time where all three Westchester schools have a chance to be really good as well.
And John Allen, new head coach of Coatesville, but so we'll get to that. That's a big story there also, and hopefully.
Yes.
Delco, Marple Newtown. They're the team that almost knocked out Imhotep. I watched the game. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So
in this, it was a state quarterfinal game.
They were obviously a very senior heavy team, really well coached team. I have to give
Sean Spratt, Chris Gardler.
Yep, absolutely. They lost a lot. I believe it was 9 seniors they graduated. They have a really good upcoming freshman.
Oh, yeah.
I can't pronounce his name.
Gardler.
No, well, Gardler's going to be a sophomore.
Oh, that's right. He is going to be a sophomore.
This kid's an 8th grader.
Right.
That's going into the 9th grade.
Right.
Who's going to be really good. But I like Gardler. I watched Gardler when I ran my scouting service, and he was an 8th grader going into the 9th grade, and I liked him. He has a good feel for the game, knows how to play, can knock down open shots. So, the Central League's another one of those leagues, Dave.
Yeah.
All those teams on any given night can knock each other out.
Strathaven will be better this year, too.
Absolutely.
I'll be doing all their home games, public address. You got Jack Edwards coming back. You got, tell me, Jaden Oregi.
Yeah, he's had a good summer. He's great at getting to the rim. He's athletic. His ability to shoot the ball, I think, is underappreciated in some ways. So Strathaven should be better next year. This year, pardon me.
Let's talk about Mike Doyle and Pencrest. And you talk about a freshman coming in. I saw him at the Big 60 shootout. Get to him in a second. But what have you seen about Pencrest?
So I have not seen Pencrest play this offseason, but I know how good of a coach Coach Doyle is. So I have no doubt that they'll keep afloat.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time. Just got into our Hall of Fame. And he's doing a great job year after year. I'm trying to think of another team.
Haverford's going to be really good.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Central League again.
Yeah.
Googie Seidman, who's, in my opinion, if he finishes the summer strong or gets a little more muscle on him or grows another inch or two, is a low Division I player. He just picked up his first offer from Westchester. He's got a good amount of PSAC schools and Centennial schools on him.
Yeah, I was wondering about.
So Haverford returns a lot as well.
Okay, we forget. I know we're probably forgetting somebody.
Garnet Valley, yeah.
They were so close to making it to the
Valley's
state
another team.
quarterfinals.
They don't lose a lot. Almost everybody comes back, and they have a good mix of veterans and up and coming young kids as well. So they're definitely a team that's going to be at the top of the conversation for the Central League.
Yeah. So just unbelievable. I'm trying to find this freshman here, but I'll tell you what, this show is just flying by. Brian, anything you want
to? If any of your kids or if you know of any kids that's looking for a home that don't have an AAU home that would like to be on a competitive schedule, please hit us up, hit Dom up. We're looking for players. We're looking for coaches. And we're looking for people that care about the kids. So, that's it. I thank you, Dave. I thank you, Pierre P., for the opportunity to promote and to talk sports, something that I love. So keep doing a good job.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I'm looking at the time here. I can't believe we still have a few more minutes there, Dom.
We do.
Talk to anything else on your mind you want to discuss, because this is a great opportunity for you. Really appreciate you coming to the show.
I appreciate you having us. And, the one thing I will say is to any parent that's watching, be mindful of the climate that is college recruiting right now. The transfer portal has made things, very difficult for high school kids to get recruited. I would say, not to toot our horns, but with our organization, I think we've done a good job getting looks for our kids and selling our kids as best as we can. So whatever situation your kid is in, make sure that, their high school coach, their AAU coach, whoever it is that you trust with them from an athletic standpoint, is really getting them ready for that next level. Because right now, I'm not going to name names, but I know a prominent Division II program that had a really good year this year where the coach just told all 5 of his freshmen to go in the portal.
Explain that portal thing. When did this start?
So it started, I believe, around during the start of the pandemic, and with all the commotion going on with eligibility and am I going to get an extra year?
Okay,
it was at that point where the
okay,
NCAA kind
right,
of just said,
right.
okay, you know what? If you want to transfer, it's now like how free agency is. You can just go play right away. And I get the arguments that that should have been allowed a long time ago. But being at the high school and the grassroots level, that's created a tough domino effect for us. And like I said, I think as an organization, we at Philly Pride Delco have done a good job of working with that, working around it. But it's something, I'm constantly talking to our parents and our athletes about is, hey, like any interest that you get, any offer that you get is a good offer. This is not the time to be picky, because a college coach can go into the portal and find a kid just like you who's had a year of college weight room, the academic rigors of college, and has, playing experience at that level. So, and anything that, a kid gets from any coach at any level is good.
Ralph, no, it's not too late.
No,
hit me
not
up.
at all.
You know my number. If not, hit me on Facebook. Ralph, I'll talk to you. Hit me up. Let me know.
It's amazing, this portal thing. Hey, shout out to Michael Man Smith III from Chester. First 2 years at Kutztown basketball, did well there. Transferring 2 years eligibility, Division II strong team, Shippensburg.
Yeah, Coach Fight has done a really good job over there.
9 years, I think he's
Yes.
been there. Yeah.
Yes, 9 years. They're one of the programs in the PSAC that not only is surviving, as I know the PSAC is gradually getting smaller, with some of these schools downsizing, but they've certainly made some leaps since he's been there. So,
Yeah, and another John Proctor from Coatesville. I heard Immaculata.
Immaculata going to play for Jay Hyman, a Penwood alum.
There you go. And yeah, so it's just a lot going on. I'm trying to think what other big college recruits from our area in basketball.
I know there's probably one I'm missing, but
So you said Hickey? Is it Hickey or Hick?
I believe it's Hick.
Jackson, because nobody told me it was Hickey. So he is about 6'5", right, for Radnor, and yeah, they're just really, really going to be tough, man. They're really going to be tough. So he committed to Princeton.
Yes. So and as in the Ivy League they don't give out athletic scholarships. So he gave his verbal commitment, then has to go through the application process.
Right. I know a lot of coaches out there looking at our players. This is going to help them. What you're doing, what you guys are doing.
We're trying to give kids that don't have that chance a chance. So that's what we're trying to give kids that don't have the chance a chance.
Right.
There's on the AAU level, there's a lot of national programs, and people want to go after that national program. But what we're trying to do at Philly Pride Delco is to get that tough, gritty Delco kid a chance to go show himself against those big programs. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that kid that is from that Delco, has that Delco pride.
Well, that's our reputation here, right?
Absolutely.
Correct. And we want to carry it along right into this program. And that's where we about. That's why Clyde is a part of it. That's why Khan's a part of it. Dom's a part of it. Darrell's a part of it. That Delco strong. That's why Lanier is a part of it. Conrad Chambers a part of it. Anthony Butler, all Delco. So that's what we're trying to do.
Awesome. Guys, thank you very much. We are out of time. I want to thank great sponsors of the entire program here of cmpradio.net, including Northern Marketing, CAT, that's CAAT Center, KC Electric, Pressure Inc. John Pierre, thank you very much once again. And I know you want one more shot, Brian, for JP.
JP, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, Dom, final word from you.
No, thanks for having us, Dave. This was a great opportunity.
All right. I'm glad we could talk some summer basketball because a lot is going on, and hopefully shows down the road. We're going to focus on some high school football. A lot of stuff going on there too, man. And it's not easy to win a PIAA state championship, as we know. So,
Well, from what it sounds like, it's not easy to win your pick'em pool either.
No, I'm hoping I can win this year. Well, last year, I really in my heart, and we had two teams go to the state semifinals in football. Strathaven had to play Imhotep. I predicted Strathaven to win. It was a home game for Strathaven. And I know Imhotep's loaded, but they're beatable. As we found out, they lost in the state finals to a public school, Penn Trafford. That was 5A. 6A, St. Joe's Prep, young, right, Brian? Young. Okay, and they just manhandled Garnet Valley, which was one of the greatest Garnet Valley teams, deep, strong, Mike Ricky's last year. And then in the state finals, St. Joe's Prep ran into one of those Whippeal schools again, and it was Mount Lebanon, and they beat them up pretty good. So, yeah, it's definitely hard for anybody to win a PIAA state championship. All right, folks, we're out of here. It's 8 o'clock, cmpradio.net. I'm Dave Burman for Brian and Dom. We'll see you next time.